For more on this, we're joined by Mathilde Vu. She's the Advocacy Manager for Sudan from the Norwegian Refugee Council and joins us from Nairobi. Mathilde, thank you so much for your time. What are you hearing from aid workers on the ground who have been speaking and helping people who have managed to leave Fasher or to leave other areas that have been besieged by the RSF? What are they telling you?
So, I've been talking to my team in Tawila, which is 60 kilometers away from Al Fasher, almost on an hourly basis now. And what is very shocking for them is that there is only a very little number of people who have arrived. As earlier you said, an estimated 70,000 people are, thought to have fled Al Fasher. Only a trickle, maybe 5,000, maybe 6,000 top, have arrived to Tawila, and this is extremely shocking. The second point is that we see a lot of family separation. We see families who arrive with children who are not their own. You know what that means? That means that the parents have disappeared. Maybe they've been killed, maybe they've been detained, and family, as they were fleeing, picked them up so that they are not alone. And another point that is also really, really disturbing is the fact that some people, most of them, arrive thirsty, so hungry, so thirsty they cannot eat, they cannot speak, and they have to be referred directly to the hospital. The level of vulnerability, the level of trauma, the injuries that we're seeing as they arrived into Tawila is just simply appalling.
That certainly is, especially everything that you've just outlined there, and the most vulnerable, as always, women and children. What aid has been able to actually enter some of those areas? We know nothing is getting through to Al Fasher, but other surrounding areas, what kind of aid are they getting? And also, what are some of the difficulties in actually getting help to those people?
So you're right to remind the audience that no aid has been arriving to Al Fasher, and I want to insist on the fact that there's been a siege on Al Fasher for more than 500 days, and that people who are trapped there, because there are many, are still suffering of hunger, are still starved, and probably only relying on animal feed, if any. And I'm sure we will see terrible images from Al Fasher in the coming days. Now, in Tawila, where we are, there's a very small number of organizations. You have to imagine that Tawila is a very small town that basically has transformed into an open-air camp over this past year. 500,000 people from Al Fasher and from another camp in North Darfur, Zamzam, have arrived over this past year, and simply we are just overwhelmed. People are sleeping on the ground. Some of them have no mattress, there's no roof. At night, it's actually starting to be cold. Some people have no access to toilet and they have to defecate in the open. We're looking at also a cholera outbreak right now ongoing in Tawila. And so very little aid is trickling. Why? Because it's logistically very complicated to work there. And second, simply because there's not enough resources. The crisis in Sudan is still 70% not funded. Do you realize that this is the largest humanitarian crisis in the world? And right now we're seeing mass atrocities, and yet because of the lack of funding, we have to choose who gets to get aid. This is really heartbreaking.
Really, it is heartbreaking, everything that you've just said. Mathilde Vu, thank you so much for detailing that all for us, live to us there from Nairobi.